learners. In yesterday's video, we've seen the presence of Indian diaspora, their contributions and how much of remittances are being contributed to the Indian economy. Now, given the situation like this, that Indians are ready to migrate throughout the world, there is also an important question which is arising if India is ready for a dual citizenship. So this was an article which was trying to debate, or it's kind of a questionnaire which is asking or revolving around this particular question. So in this video, we'll try to answer if India is ready, what can be the way forward and what can be the solutions and what is the government response and everything. So what is actually dual citizenship in the first place? We'll try to understand. It is an individual being a citizen of two countries simultaneously. This is very important. That means if a person A is born in a particular country 1, he or she can have a citizenship in country 2 as well. And that too simultaneously, not like that in that one country he has denounced the citizenship and have applied freshly. No. In the same time being, he'll have two citizenships and enjoying also the rights and fulfilling the duties in both the nations. That means he or she will have a complete set of rights and duties in both the countries. So that is what the dual citizenship means. And what does Indian Constitution say? It is not allowing such kind of provisions, and it is mandating that the single citizenship is there under Articles 5 to 11 of the Indian Constitution. So it is simply saying that under Article 5 to 11, if we study, we'll understand that a person, he or she born in India, cannot carry dual citizenship or cannot have a citizenship of the other country. So in constitution is mandating single citizenship. It is not allowing such kind of provision. However, the growing global diaspora and the changing dynamics in the globalization part, this kind of debate got reignited if India can also have a dual kind of a citizenship. Now, what is the current framework? As I've said, in Article 5 to 11, it is not allowing such kind of thing, and it is whatever the provisions are there, it is emphasizing only the single citizenship, and it does not permit it. So it's legally very wrong. One can bear the brunt of the law if he or she tries to maintain such kind of a citizenship, because in the legal land or in the legal framework of our land, this particular provision is not there. And what is the concept of overseas citizenship of India? In 2005 itself, this is providing a middle ground which are offering certain rights to persons of Indian origin, excluding certain kind of rights like the voting rights, the government jobs and holding constitutional offices. Certain rights are there, but the major important rights a citizen of the land has is regarding the rights, the government jobs and the constitutional offices that they are excluding for the OCI people, which was been introduced in 2005. And according to statistics, as of 2024, there are 37 lakh of OCI card holders globally. So this is a stat and this is a concept. This concept is not promoting the dual citizenship, but it is giving certain kind of a middle ground. You can have perks of certain rights, but the major political rights would not be given. Now, what are the arguments which are favoring this debate? For the first time, the diaspora engagement. India has the largest diaspora. Yesterday, we have seen the data. It is 32 million people are there across the world. With 32 million people, the dual citizenship could strengthen this particular ties. They can act like the brand ambassadors globally representing India. And obviously there are economic benefits, because we've seen that there are 111 billion remittances being flowed in the year 2023 alone. So one can imagine the number of investments being raising, and because of these kind of remittances, which can boost the real estate, the tourism and the startup ecosystem of the country. And obviously the cultural and emotional bond we could see, or we can see how now, though the dual citizenship kind of not there, even if one person, he or she leaves the land, the cultural ties he or she will carry. So once if you imagine, the dual citizenship will kind to allow this kind of people to maintain the harmony and the familial ties so that they can foster the culture throughout the world. Next, the global practices. What are the global practices? How are the different, or at least the developed countries are pursuing this particular topic? Is for example, the USA, Canada and Australia are offering dual citizenship, and they are benefiting from this because of the enhanced diaspora engagement. And we can also have a talent retention and return. We very well know the concept of brain drain and all such kind of concepts. We were so worried that all the intelligent or the talented people are moving out of the country. Once the dual citizenship comes into the picture, there can be the talent retention and the return of the skilled professionals once they are gone out of the country. So given that thing, given the favoring points, there are also arguments which are against this particular concept. Like there is a question of national security. The dual loyalty can lead to the potential conflicts, and especially during the geopolitical crisis. For example, concerns over the diaspora groups which are influencing the foreign policies against the India's interest. We can see that loyalty lies where money flows is a statement. So that kind of dual loyalty is the least expected thing from an individual. So that can arise into the national security concern. And the political challenges like granting voting rights to people who are having dual citizenship can increase the complexities and interference in the domestic affairs. Already we are so politically on the verge, given the vast diversity, given the vast population. When such kind of concept comes into the picture, it will more arise the political challenges is what the against point regarding this particular concept. And coming to the legal and administrative hurdles, it would be very difficult for us to manage this kind of dual citizenship because there is an extensive reform required in the bureaucratic nature and the administrative framework, and also we need to change lot of policies, lot of even the 5-2 level, whatever the articles mentioned in the constitution, that has to be amended. So the legal and administrative challenges also do lie. Now, equality and unity. How are you going to treat equally when that particular person is reaping the benefits of another country as well? So there's a question of equality and unity. The dual citizenship could create this kind of inequality among the citizens because of the dual status. They will enjoy the two rights. They will try to balance whichever the rights are upheld. So definitely the dual loyalty is not going to stand. So there's a question of equality and unity. And there is also a concept of brain drain risk. See, in the favoring point, there was trying to tell that there is a retention and the return policy. But why can also it can lead to brain drain risk is, it might encourage the outward migration because there is in their back of their mind, it runs that they can always return to the land. They'll try to go, they'll reap the benefits, and once they're financially stable, or at least if they see the backlash financially, they'll try to return because that opportunity the government is giving. So because of this can lead to the brain drain risk. Now, I said that the USA and Canada are offering such kind of things. If you see in USA, it is permitting dual citizenship with minimal restrictions. Like they are retaining the full rights in both the countries. So we can see how people they're given chance. They give a lot of importance to human rights and all. So USA believes that an individual is allowed to travel anywhere. In that particular mindset, they have given such kind of thing. Coming to Canada, one can actively be part of two countries. They promote this, and this resulted in multiculturalism and diaspora engagement. It's a very good example of the success of this particular concept in Canada. And China, there is no question of dual citizenship because they are so insecure of their nature of the governance that they do not permit it, and they are so worried about the political unity and the national security concern. Coming to South Korea, since it is a progressing country, it allows with selectively, especially only for the global professionals contributing to the economy or the South Korean economy in particular. So these are some kind of case studies. regarding this particular concept. Now, Indian diaspora in the US. Let us take this particular case study and analyze what is there. Now, one of the most influential communities contributing to this bilateral relation and the technology and education would be the Indian diaspora present in the country. Now, dual citizenship could further strengthen this particular connection in a multi-dimensional way. But we do not know how is US going to react. That is a different thing. This is just a theory. What can happen because of the dual citizenship? Because there's a presence of Indian diaspora very largely in this particular country. And we know the concept of Brexit and Indian origin Britons. What has happened? Many have sorted UCI cards for maintaining ties with India, highlighting the need for a deeper engagement frameworks. Indian origin Britons is someone who is there in the British land. So for them, these people have sought OCI. In turn, that in turn, there is a question arising that since people are wanting OCI cards, why can't the dual citizenship concept come and arise in this particular aspects? So we are trying to analyze the presence of Indian people in those lands, and we are trying to attach what might happen if the dual citizenship come into the picture. Now, what has been recently developed in this case scenario is there is obviously a debate is going on, and there is increased lobbying by the Indian origin groups abroad for more inclusivity, and we've seen how the Bharatiya, Divas, Pravasi Divas was being celebrated so grandly, so conventionally, all throughout the guest, whatever been invented. We know that we are giving a lot of importance to them. So even they are trying to seek this kind of inclusivity, and the demand has been arising. Whatever the rising diaspora influence in the foreign nation is there, it's an evident in the leaders in Indian origin like Rishi Sunak and the Kamala Harris. So such kind of recent developments are suggesting that this kind of concept may be successful rather than the against points. So what can be done? If this has to be materialized, what can be the way forwards? First of all, the political alternatives. We need to expand the rights under OCI in the first place, such as allowing property ownership and extended stays. Considering a phased approach, it's like a pilot project. Not like completely bring a law and give dual citizenship, but try to have a pilot project before implementing such kind of things. And we need to obviously this kind of initiatives has to come into the picture. Means we need to definitely take care of the national security thing. You need to have a proper policy framework to safeguard the national security. Then we need to think of the forwarding things, and we need to have a diaspora diplomacy. We have to leverage this in the economic, technological and cultural benefits while addressing their concerns about the rights and participations, and also we should be clear of their duties as well before getting this kind of policies into the framework. And we need to have an awareness campaigns. We need to educate the public and the stakeholders. If we foster such kind of things, this can be the benefits. So we need to make the citizens as an informed citizens. And we need to have a proper legislative reforms like Amendment of Citizenship Act 1955. We know what happened when we try to amend this in a certain political aspect. Let us not go into that. So whatever the citizenship related provisions are there, we need to have a proper comprehensive legislative reforms. So balancing the aspirations, the growing diaspora of the Indians across the globe, we need to kind of foster, or we need to kind of have a proper balance in this regard, so that we can reap the benefits of whatever the remittances or in the economic wise or in the cultural wise and everything. And we need to have a comprehensive framework is what the debate is about. Thank you.